want to bring in our State Representative Noah Arbit, who, like our Township Clerk and Treasurer Debbie Binder and Terry Weingarten, a lifelong resident of West Bloomfield Township. He's also a lifelong member of the congregation at Temple Israel. Noah, thank you for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, Tyler.
Yeah, good to talk to you, albeit not under the greatest circumstances. I asked this of Debbie early on. So far, in terms of the less than 24 hours since this event occurred at the time that we're speaking, how are you, your family, and the Temple Israel community holding up at this time?
I'm extremely exhausted. I barely got any sleep, as you can probably tell by how I look, and I'm just extremely drained, but it's nothing compared to, what the families at the preschool experienced yesterday, and the staff and rabbis at Temple Israel, and just, the community at large. I think, there's still a sense of shock, at least for me a little bit. I haven't had the opportunity to decompress. Hopefully in time I will in the next couple of days, but, it's still kind of go. But it's, something out of our worst nightmares.
And in the immediate wake of what had happened, so many outcries of public support, and not only that, but actual tangible reaching out from the community right across the street at Shenandoah, knowing that there was that helping hand, that loving arm across the street, reaching across not only the street physically at Walnut Lake, but across religious ties as well. What does that mean to you?
Well, I think it means everything. The fact that, the Chaldean community showed up for us, when we needed help, right? And they always have, and we always will for them as well. And I think it just speaks to the ties that bind our community here in West Bloomfield together. It's somewhat surreal. When I was campaigning for office, one of the things I would tell people is, I'm tired of West Bloomfield being an afterthought in the policymaking conversations in Lansing. And, I'm running to, put, some energy and vigor behind, our community, and to make us, closer to the center of policymaking in the state capitol. And, West Bloomfield is not a community that often gets a lot of notoriety, good, bad, or other. And, yesterday, just seeing all the news chyrons with, terror in West Bloomfield saying, it was just utterly surreal, to think that, the first time that, most people in the country and in the world had heard of our community was because of this attack. And so what I want to say to people here in West Bloomfield, but also across the country and the world, is I want them to know our community, not just for the hate that someone came here to do, but for the way that we've responded, and the way that we held each other up, the way that we lifted each other up, the way that we will continue to work together across communal lines to heal and to rebuild. Because that's the sort of crux and the resilience of what this community is and what it's defined by.
And it is defined by those relationships that were strong before this, will strengthen during this, and the signs of compassion already out there in our community. It is unique to West Bloomfield, but so many other communities in Michigan and across the globe can and will learn from that, from seeing us. What do you hope ultimately that the remainder of our country and the world learns from what they witness here in West Bloomfield, as people will come together and help each other in ways that maybe others have never seen before?
I want people to understand the power of their words. The relationship between hate speech and hate violence is cause and effect. And when we see so much anti-Jewish rhetoric proliferating and metastasizing and intensifying, particularly since the president decided to engage in military action against Iran, and we've seen a lot of people blame the Jewish community for this, for that fact. I want people to be aware that there's a very quick logical leap from blaming Israel or Zionists or AIPAC for all of the world's ills and the injustices in the world, to very quickly looking at Jewish communities here in Michigan and across the United States and Europe as legitimate targets for violence. Because if you believe that those things are wrong, and this heated rhetoric that has intensified, has indicated that the Jewish community is why these things are happening, then you will do anything that you can to stop it. And that includes taking up arms and violence against Jews and Jewish institutions. So I really, really want people to understand the power of their words, the power of the arguments that they are making, and how they have the power to heal or to commit great and devastating harm. We were, I don't want to say we were lucky yesterday. We were prepared for yesterday. And that's why we saw no loss of life. The amazing response from Temple security, from Temple staff, teachers, the education, as well as WPD, WBFD, Oakland County sheriffs and the surrounding police departments. Like, we were prepared for this. And what a sad commentary on the state and the fragile state of Jewish life in the United States that we had to be so prepared. But I think we would be facing a very different scenario if Temple Israel didn't have the resources that it had and didn't have the robust training that it had. And so I just want people to understand that this is what it's like to be a Jew in the United States today, is that we have watched over the past decade as our fortresses have congealed, or our institutions have congealed into fortresses. And I think that that's painful. I think it's wrong. We shouldn't have to live this way. And I think what I'd like to say to people who are not Jewish is that I think we all have a responsibility to rectify that, to make sure that synagogues can be as open as any church can be, and that there's no difference between the way Jews can live openly in Michigan and any other type of faith community.
Yeah, hate is something that is easy to communicate and is easy to throw out into the ether, especially today in the world that we live in. But love, a lot tougher to put that effort in, and more of an impact it has on the community, as we've seen from so many acts of compassion so far in greater West Bloomfield in the wake of what happened on Thursday. Noah, Rabbi Joshua Bennett from Temple Israel, Rabbi Ariana Gordon also providing their notes of applause to the response from security at Temple Israel, from local law enforcement, them, as well as Josh Ingberg from the Jewish Federation of Detroit, speaking on the resilience of the local Jewish community, the Temple Israel community. But you have an inside perspective on the community at Temple Israel beyond the information we'll hear in the days and weeks ahead in the wake of this tragedy and how people came together. But that community is very close-knit. It is very giving. It reaches out to other people in greater West Bloomfield to lend a helping hand. What do you believe that we will see from the Temple Israel community as they also provide support to others in our community that are affected just by this happening in their hometown?
Yeah, well, I think, we're all, going to be waiting, for news to figure out, what is the state of the building? What is the state of, our ability to operate as a temple over the next, year or so? I think, there's a lot that temple leadership has to figure out. And, I think, that is going to be a really big opportunity, assuming, as I think we all do, that, the building won't be able to be used for quite some time. And, we have, weddings and bar mitzvahs and, social events and philanthropic events, that, other institutions across our community will have to pick up the slack in terms of hosting those very important functions. And so that's where I think we're going to see, other parts of our community have to step up. And I have no doubt that they will, because that's the West Bloomfield way.
It definitely is, as so many have already mentioned, and so many will continue to provide examples of in the days, weeks, months, and years ahead. Representative Arbit, thank you so much for your time as we reflect on what happened in our community.
Yeah.